Well, greetings again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt, and maybe I'll be a little nicer to you in going over this, but I wanted to cover a young lady's case that we did a few years back, and it literally changes a person's life. There's no question about it. And I see her or hear about her, and she's fixing to have children of her own, and it has changed this young lady's life for the better by far. So I'm going to try to get in here and show you a few things about it. I mean, this is a severely class 2 case. Now that we've got stuff nowadays, this carry a appliance where they hook up to the 6-year motors, and they go back here and bring these teeth forward by pulling back on that, and it works. And that's a good appliance. I have nothing against the carry appliance and correcting the class 2 relationship on this. It's really simple. Tweed did almost the same thing. I mean, just hooking on to the upper cuspid up here and going back to the lower molar and pulling this forward. And so there's just a lot of ways to correct class 2. But here we use another kind of a headgear deal to do this. Now you look at the front, she's got about a 12 millimeter, position, the lower jaw forward almost looks like over a ½ inch. You see, you bring the jaw out that far. And some way or another, by going in there and pulling this out, it changed the way her jaw actually grew. It didn't get any longer, but the head of the condyle moves back. As it moves back, it allows the teeth structure to move forward in here. And then this gonal angle on where the jaw comes down like this, it goes out this way. This gets bigger. In other words, it flattens out like that, and that moves the jaw forward too. And so things like this can happen, and you can guide these things to do that. And so we've got a class 2 relationship. It's not as terrible as the overjet and overbite looks down here, but you go back over on this side right here, and this lower molar that is sitting there, really it should be sitting right here. In other words, about that much problem. Well, if you change this out here and you can bring these teeth down, bring them out some, and you bring this back, then you can get this jaw in a forward position out here that is a total change in the way the person's life is. And whether you want to use this carry-aid thing, which is fine, I have no objection to that, to getting it forward. But finishing it out after you get that, then you need to know a little more about opening the bite and different things. Now, when we look in it from the back side of the model, the lower teeth come way up here and actually hit the gum back in this part of the mouth here. They come in contact with the gum tissue up there. What if you left this young lady alone and let her grow up like that? And this is not going to automatically move out there in that position. And so we went in and tried to help level this out, move this down, and drop it down like this. Now the jaw can come forward a little bit more. We can do that orthodontically easy, very easily. And you bring it jaw out. And so if you bring it out and the person is using it and they look so good, and you bring it way at the condyle here in the fossils on the edge, the stem of the condyle will actually rotate distally. And as it rotates distally, the whole jaw moves forward. And then your gonal angle down here, it'll get bigger and bring the rest of the jaw out like that. We have advanced the mandible on people in their 50s and 60s and stuff like that. And even some in, I guess, the 70s and 80s, we can do that. We can bring it out and it will still change. The bone structure doesn't just get hard when you get a certain area and can't change it. You might not get the sutures apart, but you can advance or do things with the mandible as long as people live. All right, now let's go. And you see how the upper arch, she had some functional habit that was bringing this out further than it ought to be. So we brought those teeth back in like this and pulled them back, and we opened the bite where the teeth met up here. Now, when you look at something like this and you're doing orthodontics on it, if you put the brackets on the teeth right all the way around here, the bracket is in the right places for the height and the rotation of the tooth. And now you come in with a flexible wire and you tie it into those teeth. Then every tooth in the mouth that's tied on that's not rotated correct tends to go into a correct rotation. And if you needed to expand it a little bit, you'd put an arch wire in here. You would start off with the center of the arch wire. And you come over here, and right before you get to your molar, you make a loop like this. It's really big. Same thing on the other side, and you went up like that. Now you got a tube back here on the molar. You're putting that wire in. So we put the wire that you bend it like this, and now you stick this in the tube, and now you close that up to now your loop is like this. So that loop is pushing on this. That's increasing the arch length that you have, and it's going to bring it out, and it's going to bring it's going to be positive torque in there that's going to lean those teeth forward to make it go out further. And if you had a gap and you needed some space over here, you could put a spring in that area, and this arch gain you got back here gains the whole thing, and it will end up being the space you need to. Now this is all tied in and starts on day one. Now if your bite is closed and real deep, like, let me go back here and see if I can see that the bite is extremely deep up here. You come off of this molar and you put an intruding arch on it. We're trying to see these lower teeth are up here touching the roof of the mouth up here. You put in here, you come out with an intruding wire, and that wire has a loop on it, something like that, and it's headed down this way and comes over and make it like that, and you hook that in. You raise this wire and hook it to the teeth, and you can do this at the same time you're rotating every tooth in this head right here, and every tooth gets the same height, and you add torque to them, and this is all going on at one time, and it is so much more efficient and faster than anything you can do with some shell over the top of this. You can do some of that, but you can't really line it up. You can line it up just darn near perfect in that way. And this upper, you can do the upper. If you want to raise it, you'd put a deal in here, and you'd have a arch wire that would come in, and you'd have to go the other direction with your loop coming off of that. And so when it is up here, and when you pull it down, you tighten this spring right here, and it'll lift these teeth up, and this will take these teeth down like that. So there's really simple ways to do these more or less complicated procedures in here. Now, you can do it with various things. I use some headgear too in there. So we bring that down, line that up. So here we were when we started out. This young lady's teeth were up in kind of the roof of the mouth when she bit together. It looks deeper than it looks on this self right here. But anyway, there's an overjet like that. This molar is behind about that much, and we're going to go down and expand that out and reduce the deal out there. Now here are the x-rays. This is further down the line because these teeth, these lower teeth were up here at the roof of the mouth, the upper teeth were down, and we level the arch out. And you can level it out in a almost perfect way if you know. Now this tooth right here, I don't have the root of it going in there correctly, but I can change that arch wire just a little bit and kick that root over in the right position. Now at this point, there was no wisdom teeth forming, and let me see as we go down the case. Now, here was where we started. The lower teeth were up here, and the upper teeth were down here, and this picture right here is just a little later on in here, the way we do it. Now that, you can do that. And people weren't taught how to do it and everything. And I learned it, and I tried to get them to teach orthodontics to them. And they, in the orthodontic department at my school said no, they weren't going to do it. So I said, well, I'm going to do it. And so I've spent my life telling people how to do this. And I want the people that are coming on and you're going to turn this over to you, that you be more concerned about how you're going to do it. Don't be thinking about how quick we can make something over here and we'll get a big fee for it and we won't even have to think about what we're doing in here. So anyway, we opened this young lady's bite. We brought her jaw forward, and this is just little brackets in here that we tied this together. You see this lacing going around in here, tied it in. Here we wore class 2 elastics off of that, and she had a headgear that she wore too. And down here, we put these brackets on the bottom and bring those teeth down. And we open the bite. I'm sorry for that picture. All right, here is the young lady. That's kind of out of focus. But anyway, again, not in focus. But here is the facial structure. Now we've got a good facial height in here, and everything's working okay in that respect. And profile is here instead of having this come up in like this, so you take this person's life and you changed it. Now, I know her, and she's in another town now. She's working. Her husband is doing something, and she's going to have a child. And I don't know whether that child will have a problem like she had. I hope not. But this, looking at this makes you feel good. And maybe that's how you live till you're 96 years old. And anyway, this is where she started with her lip back here and the teeth hanging out the top. And you're able to do that. And we can do it for people like that. And I'm going to go through that right quick. And that's the way the arch was. And we brought it down. You can rotate any tooth in that mouth by hooking that chain up and wrap it around the teeth. Now we use an occipital headgear to some extent to kind of keep the class 2 pulling this forward. We'll drop these teeth down and raise this up. This headgear will keep that level of these teeth. We have a spur goes in between that. I don't know if you got a lot of pictures on that young lady. And she was looking off to the side while we were wearing that headgear. Now that headgear, as you wear class 2 elastics, they pull the teeth down here in the front. So the headgear keeps this up level. In other words, you can actually raise this up so they don't have a gummy smile when you get through with it, like that. And this is what we call an occipital type headgear. I don't know whether these pictures in here look like. All right. Went from that to that. And that. This cuspid down is down in that groove. The arch, the upper arch, that used to look like that, coming way up like that. Now it's a broad upper arch like this, much nicer looking. The lower arch is a different shape. And here she is a little older down the line. She's wearing a retainer. The facial structure is good, and she is holding up. Now this is something that makes you as a individual feel better. And don't try to do as many. Let everyone you do be something that you do the best you can with whatever that you've been given here to correct it. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you'll join our group. I'm going to say goodbye now.